A recent tragedy in Iowa sparked one UNI professor to write a play, co-written with UNI professor Karen Mitchell, entitled Carne Viva, or in other words, Living Meat in Postville, Stories of Madres and Monarchs.
Well, I started to volunteer after the raid on May 12, 2008, and I started to meet people, and it immediately became very clear to me that there were not a lot of Spanish speakers in the state of Iowa listening to the stories, especially the women who had suffered due to the raid.
The play is written from the overlooked point of view of the mistreated meat plant workers.
There were a lot of invisible people, a lot of stories going unheard. It could really change a lot of people's opinions about immigration if they could hear the personal stories of people who were impacted so much by the May 2008 raid.
After volunteering in Postville and doing some research on the hundreds affected, she knew she had to take action.
The more I listened, the more urgent it seemed to become to me to do something with these stories.
Carne Viva represents some stories, yet with the hundreds affected, there is more to it than meets the eye.
Dr. Cooley has really interesting insight into immigration and the dialogue that's happening about immigration in the U.S.
It definitely was an eye-opener because I feel like a lot of people knew of the immigration raid that happened in Postville, but didn't really know like the underlying complicated stories within the show.
There's a lot of other things happening in their personal lives and a lot of other things that happened at the plant that you just don't get to see in the show.
The actors interacted with the crowd, even encouraging people to dance. And afterwards, there was a discussion session.
A lot of corporations, they lobby politicians to push their agendas, to increase their profits, so other people, suffer from that, like what happened in Postville.
If you want help with problems in society such as these, the best thing Dr. Cooley says to do is to talk and let the underrepresented voices in society be heard. For UNI TV, this has been Karen Kabliska reporting.
Stand tall in red high-heeled shoes to raise awareness of sexual violence against women. UNI TV's Dakota Funk has more on the annual event. Walk a mile in her shoes.
You don't really understand another person's experience unless you walked a mile in their shoes. That is what a group of men did last Thursday evening, heels and all. Walk a mile in her shoes compels men to put themselves in a woman's shoes in order to foster their understanding about sexualized violence. A woman is sexually assaulted every 2.5 minutes, and 85% of women know their attacker. At the end of the route, the participants met at the top of the Mocker Union, where food and drinks were served. Also, a speaker from the Seeds of Hope, which is a service for abuse advocacy for women, was presented a check for $490 that was raised for Seeds of Hope.
Sexual violence is a serious issue on college campuses. If you have been sexually assaulted or know someone who has, you are not alone. There are services on the UNI campus where you can go to get help. These services include the Violence Intervention Service in the Wellness Recreation Center and the Counseling Center in the Student Health Center.